From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Just how with everything laid out, I mean, I know God was with me that day, 100%.
She was texting while driving and crashed. Now she's sharing her story of survival and a powerful message about texting and driving. That message coming up. And 3 people found dead in a Bozeman garage, all employees of a local restaurant. We have the latest on that investigation into what happened.
Former President Trump speaks out after the most recent apparent assassination attempt. I'm Jared Hill with what we know about the investigation and efforts to beef up security.
And as firefighters continue to fight on the front lines over in Stevensville, some of them are getting a sweet treat along the way. We're going to have this woman's heartwarming story in your Positively Montana report. Alrighty, it is 6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Jane McDonald and Matt Elwell with you bright and early. The moon is bright, and gosh, yesterday I almost had trouble getting to sleep because of some of the wind that was rattling my house.
We were rocking and rolling around the area. A lot of lightning, a lot of thunder, quite a bit of wind. Very interesting. They actually put out an airport warning at one point in that 8 o'clock hour.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I was still awake because I was watching things, obviously. Definitely dealing with some active weather, and we're going to see more. I'm going to talk more about this and how much rain we could continue to pick up as we go over the next couple of days. 40s and 50s this morning. We'll see batches of rain initially, not a ton during the daytime hours, but really picks up late in the afternoon toward the evening, and then we're really going to pick up the rain tonight into tomorrow. Daytime temperatures expected to be into the 60s for most of the area, off and on rain showers and thunderstorms across the region. I'm going to break down the timing, impacts, and how much coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Now, we have more information on a fatal crash that happened in Bozeman over the weekend. In an update on Monday, Gallatin County Sheriff and Coroner Dan Springer said 18-year-old Madison Montgomery Lucanbill of Belgrade was pronounced dead at the scene due to blunt force injuries. 3 other teenagers were injured. The Montana Highway Patrol's fatality crash report says a 17-year-old male was driving a Volkswagen Beetle at a high rate of speed eastbound on Kelly Canyon Road at around 1:30 in the morning on Sunday. According to the report, the driver failed to maintain control while negotiating a slight left-hand curve near the intersection with Fort Ellis Road. The Beetle reportedly went off the road to the right and collided with the guardrail. It continued over a creek and up an embankment, coming to a rest on its passenger side. The report says alcohol and speed are suspected factors in the crash. And a pair of crashes in 2 days in Beaverhead County has claimed the lives of 3 people. According to the Montana Highway Patrol, a 24-year-old man died on Friday shortly before 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Montana Highway 43 near Wisdom. A second fatal crash claimed the lives of 2 people just shortly after 9 o'clock Saturday night in a head-on crash. MHP reports that both trucks were engulfed in flames and both of the drivers were pronounced dead at the scene, and MHP has not been able to identify either driver. Speed and alcohol are suspected factors in that crash. And a helicopter went down in a remote corner of northwest Jefferson County over the weekend. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says all 3 people aboard a helicopter that crashed Sunday survived. The helicopter crashed in a remote area of northwestern Jefferson County, and Jefferson County officials did not say exactly where the privately owned helicopter crashed. Multiple agencies assisted with the response, and the National Transportation Safety Board is investigating. And we've heard all the warnings. Texting and driving is dangerous. One Montana woman knows that better than most. She survived a tragic accident that was her own fault. As Alina Howder tells us, she hopes her story will keep it from happening to someone else.
It was here at St. Vincent Healthcare where Tabitha Courtney spent nearly a month recovering from that devastating accident. She's sharing her story almost exactly 6 years later, hoping it can save somebody else's life.
I was an 18-year-old girl who just graduated high school, just won a national dance competition, and then the next day I couldn't walk.
September 15th, 2018 changed Tabitha Courtney's life forever.
Life is very fragile, very fragile.
Tabitha was driving to Park City from Laurel on US Highway 10 after a long day of work.
I was going around the last curve before the county line, and I was on my phone. I think I was Snapchatting.
That's the last thing Tabitha remembers. Her life suddenly went dark. She woke up more than a week later inside a Billings hospital.
What we think happened is I drifted off to the right shoulder of the road, and then I panicked and overcorrected, and I slammed head on into a semi, and both of us were going like 65, 70 miles an hour.
Tabitha spent more than a week in a medically induced coma. She also broke both of her femurs, the right side of her pelvis, and sustained nerve damage on her arm from her seatbelt, while the driver of the semi walked away with cuts and bruises.
When I was in the hospital, they said I had developed fat embolism syndrome, which is where bone marrow from long bone breaks goes to your lungs, but mine went to my brain.
And things didn't get any easier when she was released from the hospital to begin rehab.
The first real day I was there, they had me take a step, and I couldn't do it. I just screamed out in pain.
Tabitha used to live with guilt after the accident, but she doesn't regret what happened as it's taught her a valuable life lesson.
I had to do everything, relearn how to do everything. My advice is it really worth your life? Is answering that snap more important than your life? Is eating that cheeseburger while you're driving worth it? It's not.
In Laurel, Alina Howder, MTN News.
And Bozeman police are investigating the deaths of 3 people who were found inside a garage on Sunday. Bozeman police responded to the 3000 block of North 27th, where they found 1 male and 2 females dead. The cause of death is under investigation, but police believe that carbon monoxide poisoning may be a factor. The victims were employees of Mr. Burrito, according to the owner of the restaurant. We spoke to the owner, who was saddened by the news. He told our Edgar Cedillo that this is a huge loss for not only employees, but also the victims' families. He described each of them as hardworking and full of life. He says he has been overwhelmed by the outpouring of support from the community, and he told us yesterday afternoon that Mr. Burrito will be taking care of the funeral costs. And for the first time, former President Donald Trump is speaking out after what the FBI is calling a second assassination attempt over the weekend. Federal law enforcement says that the suspect, identified as 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh, was spotted with a rifle near Trump's Florida Golf Club, though he did not fire any shots. The suspect was arrested and is now facing up to 20 years in prison on federal gun charges. CBS News' Jared Hill has the latest from New York.
Keep walking!
Police body cam footage shows the arrest of Ryan Wesley Routh, the man accused of trying to assassinate former President Donald Trump at his golf club in West Palm Beach over the weekend.
All of a sudden, we heard shots being fired in the air.
Last night on X, the former president described the moments when, according to charging documents, a U.S. Secret Service agent saw what looked like a rifle poking from the tree line, then fired shots in that direction.
Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets. And they grabbed me. We got into the carts and we moved along pretty good.
The 58-year-old fled unharmed and was later taken into custody about 50 miles away. Routh, a North Carolina native with a criminal record, appeared in court Monday on 2 federal gun charges. Investigators say they found a high-caliber rifle with its serial number scratched out, a digital camera, and some food. According to authorities, cell phone records show he may have been near the golf course for as long as 12 hours before the incident.
He did not fire or get off any shots at our agent. The protective methodologies of the Secret Service were effective.
Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe says his agency has beefed up Trump's protection following the July assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. President Biden says the agency needs more help. He condemned political violence Monday before speaking with Trump by phone. Jared Hill, CBS News.
And former President Trump described his call with President Biden as very nice. Former President Trump is back on the campaign trail today with a town hall in Michigan. Now, a little bit closer to home, Montana leaders have approved oil and gas leases that will bring in more than $2.8 million in revenue for the state. The Montana Land Board approved the sale of 4 leases on state trust land at their meeting Monday morning. By far, this is the biggest lease, is $2.7 million for a tract in Richland County, north of Sydney. The lease of sale was held online over a week, and Governor Greg Gianforte's office says this is the most revenue from a single sale since 2012. The highest average bid price per acre. Money from oil and gas leases on trust lands goes toward funding for public education. If oil production goes forward, that will generate additional royalty revenues. And as wildfires continue to burn near Stevensville, hundreds of firefighters head to St. Mary Peak each day. Crews heading up the mountain have been passing by a Little Baked Goods stand. MTN's Emily Brown spoke with baker Chris Himes to hear the story behind those thank you treats in this morning's Montana Positively report.
When it hit, you could literally feel something in the air.
Up high on St. Mary Peak Road, Chris Himes and family dog Buddy were in the Sherritt Creek Fire evacuation zone.
All of us neighbors up here on the mountain chose to stay, so I knew I wasn't alone, and I wouldn't have done this if it was just me up here. I have incredible neighbors, and we all take care of each other.
Knowing she needed to do something to keep her mind off the fire above her house, Himes decided to start baking as a thank you to the crews risking their lives.
I kind of was scared and lost and didn't know what to do, and so many people, it was hundreds up and down the mountain all day long. You know, we appreciate these folks so much for all their work, and I'm like, I know how to bake.
It started with a few baskets of cookies on a stand outside her house, but those were eaten instantly.
And then the word spread. I hear on their radios. So then it grew to 3 baskets, and then a table, and then 2 tables, and then 2 coolers, filling up the baskets and the coolers in the mornings with cinnamon rolls and muffins and banana bars, jam bars, cookies, cupcakes, and then I took goodies down to the crew that's doing the drone camera work and then measuring the heat on the fire, and I went over to the airport and took goodies over to the helicopter pilots.
Neighbors pitched in to help fund the project, and now there have been over 6,000 treats handed out all around the lines on the Sherritt Creek Fire.
They've given me numerous handwritten thank you little notes on scratch paper that they find in the Forest Service trucks, and it just means the world to me. I had a gentleman stop, a paramedic, a few days ago and thanked me, and he said, you know, he said, every house that is impacted by this is assigned a number, he told me, except for yours. He said, you're known as the Cinnamon Roll House.
Himes loves caring for all the firefighters. However, she has one in particular that's always on her mind.
I joke and say this is my honeymoon because my husband was on the Boulder Lake fire, and then he got called to the Johnson fire, and he was able to come home just long enough for us to get married, and then he had to turn around and leave. We just went down to the courthouse. My mom and my best friend and my daughter and grandson were here, and we're going to have an actual ceremony in the spring. He promised me that.
But until there are no more firefighter boots working on the mountain, Himes will be baking.
This kept me busy and gave me a purpose.
In Stevensville, Emily Brown, MTN News.
I mean, that just shows a little small act of kindness goes a long way.
Makes you want to go visit Stevensville and the Cinnamon Roll House.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, before we take a break here on Montana This Morning, Matt, I think you're a daredevil. You are on the fence about it.
There was a time.
I think you live for danger, I think.
Yeah.
And that's why I am booking you the first ticket over to this side of the globe.
What is going on here?
This is over in Istanbul. This is a bridge that goes from Asia to Europe. So this young man right here, he's from Estonia, and he is walking a slack line from the 2 continents, Matt.
What is possessing this guy?
I don't know, boredom maybe. I'm not too sure what's going through his mind. At least he's tethered.
It's impressive because there is a lot of wind.
There is wind, and he said that this was one of his hardest walks ever.
You think?
Because of the cars and all the helicopters around him. Because he was distracted, not because he's above how many feet above the ground.
Yeah.
But no, it was the cars that were really getting to him.
But what a beautiful sight.
A beautiful setting. Beautiful, beautiful setting to be sure. It was a 47-minute walk. So, It's a long one.
I'm
man.
sure his heart rate was up the whole time, too.
Well, yeah, he looks like he has a little fitness watch on, so I'd like to see those stats at the end of the day. Maybe how many steps he walked. To
How many
complete
flights,
that.
right?
Exactly.
Hopefully none.
Hopefully none. All right, time for that break coming your way. When we come back, though, your top stories head and come at you. Then a look at your weather, and then we are taking a look inside one of the United States ammo factories over in Scranton, Pennsylvania. We're going to have that story for you coming up after the break.